In the summer of 1990, some sad and painful events occurred around the Montreal area. In the press and in the media generally, we had images that really spoke of confrontation. This is Lorette Noble for Changing Scenes, and today what I would like to do is to give another point of view. Recently, I was able to visit with Ron and Sheila Boyer, who live in Kanawake. And I think what they have to say and share with us will prove enlightening. Hi Ron, hi Sheila.
Good morning, Lorette.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to start by asking you both, because when we've met before and spoken before, you've told me that you weren't both born here in Kanawake. Which one, who was?
I was.
Sheila, you were born in Kanawake?
Mm-hmm.
So you're the one who really belongs here.
The real one, yes.
Yeah. And Ron, where were you born?
I was born in Northern Ontario in a small reservation called Mississauga. It's midpoint of Sudbury and Sault Ste. Marie, along the north shore of Lake Huron. And I suppose you wonder how I came to be in Kanawake.
Yeah.
Well, it's a long story. It goes back to the days of the residential school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was there that I was kidnapped by a band of Mohawks. This was 34 years ago.
Not fussy, yeah.
This summer. And they tell me they aren't fussy who they initiate into their tribe. We were married in the residential school itself in September, and the year after they closed it up and converted it into a shrine. No, that's off. I was just kidding on that. But the schools did close the following year as an act of the Department of Indian Affairs.
How many kids have you got?
We have a family of 6 children, 3 boys and 3 girls.
And now, by extension, you have how many grandchildren?
7 grandchildren.
7 grandchildren.
Do they all live around here?
Yes, they're all living around here. We have 5 of them that are now in the school system locally. Mm-hmm. A few in the Immersion Mohawk program. Our oldest daughter also is a teacher on the reservation. She's the English specialist in the Mohawk Immersion School. And our second oldest daughter also, she's a teacher's aide at the school. And our oldest son works for public affairs. He's in the drawing department.
You told me that you also teach, or you teach grade 5 or something?
Here yes, in the Cadre School I instruct catechesis at the Cadre School to the grade 5 level, yes. And what else? That is a part. It's difficult to go into what my mandate should be because I'm more or less the chief cook and bottle washer. Here
yeah, but you're being too modest. You're also a deacon, right?
Yes, I'm the deacon.
How long have you been a deacon, Ron?
I've been a deacon for 4 years. And you see, when we look at the role of the deacon is primarily, when we have it in right perspective, family comes first, then your job, and then the community. So that is why I always tell people when you pray to pay attention to how you pray, because the Lord will take you to your word. And I guess I was asking how I would better serve the community. So knowing the priorities, He allowed me, the Lord, to fall off a ladder and thus enabled me to have ministry at a full time. I guess I'm one of the earliest on sabbatical, permanent sabbatical.
But you didn't fall off once.
It took you a while, eh?
Yes, it took me a while to see the light. As a former high steel iron worker, it took me away from home for several years throughout the United States, Eastern Seaboard, and mostly in the New York City area. I worked on the high steel buildings, and I had 3 falls while I was on construction. But each time I was able to get up and continue working. I fell from great heights, but it was only after received my ordination I had a mighty fall in the church hall above all places.
Oh, so that's what you meant by a ladder. This was the one.
Yes, the ladder, yes. And I found it's very deadly to work in the church business. I see that's why there aren't too many people excited about working for the church.
I just have a question for Sheila here. When Ron was working in the construction on the high rises and things, he was away from home, right?
Oh, that's right.
So that you were on your own over here with the kids?
Oh yes, I was here with the kids, 6 of them.
How long was he away at a time? Did he get home from time to time?
Well, he'd be gone all week and come in on Friday night and leave Sunday evening about maybe 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Be gone for the whole week.
That must have been tough.
Well, we have to get used to it. We had to
get used to it.
Had to do it.
Yeah. But the kids knew him. I mean, they were always, you know.
Oh yes, they were always waiting for him to return on the weekend. We're always waiting for him.
Always waiting for him. So now he's home as a permanent deacon, permanently home. You get to see a lot of him, right?
Oh yes, we get to see a lot of him. Every day.
Every day. How many tribes? How many Indian tribes are there in North America? I think you told me there was like over 100?
Oh, there's way over 150 tribes.
150?
Yes.
And what tribe do you come from, Rob?
I come from the tribe of the Ojibwe, who are of the Algonquin tribe.
Yeah.
The Algonquin tongue, yes.
And Sheila?
I'm from the Mohawk, from here, from Kahnawake, the Mohawk tribe.
And you belong to was it the Bear Clan?
That's right, the Bear Clan, yeah.
And after you two met, you came to live in Kahnawake, where Sheila lived.
That is right.
Do you speak the same language? I mean, apart from English, or what, the Indian language, is it the same, the one that you use?
No, there is no similarity whatsoever among the Ojibwe and the Mohawk. It's a total different dialect altogether. But the thing about it, all our chants and our ways of doing ceremony, there's a lot of similarities. Well, it's because we pray to the same Creator. But as far as the language, it's quite a contrast.
So do you talk to each other in English?
We talk to each other in English.
Just English.
Just English?
I don't even know how to speak my own language. No, I don't.
Is that because you weren't taught it when you were...
Oh, my grandmother spoke to me in Mohawk all the time, but after I went to residential school, that was, you know, we couldn't speak our language after that.
How old were you when you went to residential school?
I was 8 years old.
8?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Do you still understand Mohawk?
Oh, I understand it very well. Oh, yes. People speak to me in Mohawk and I can understand it.
But you can't speak it?
I can't speak it.
And how many people do you think on the reservation can speak Mohawk? Because in the schools now, what do they teach them in Mohawk, don't they, in Kahnawake?
Yes, more and more they're leaning toward the teaching of Mohawk. Because here in the community, they have a few of the schools that are totally immersed in Mohawk. All subjects are taught in the Mohawk language. And it is good because the thing is, as the language is being forgotten, so does the culture. A culture, you know, it'll only strive and survive through the language. And it is good now that in the last few years that a new curriculum has been developed in the school system that enables those who would like to follow the course. And they also have adult courses beginning this fall that for people who can speak Mohawk and can't write, or can understand Mohawk and can't speak, and for those who don't understand or read or write. So it is good that these programs are developing. It's so important that we dwell more.
And it gives you a certain pride as well.
Yes, it does.
A richness to your culture and so on.
Yes. Because it hasn't always been that way.
Oh yeah, tell me about that. You said it hasn't always been that way.
Well, years ago, for one reason or other, the language started to die out. The culture was starting to die out also. And as a result, a lot of our native brothers and sisters were in total bewilderment, even like our own selves. We had that experience. And this is the downfall of the natives throughout North America. We have experience of several suicides, and also in many of the prisons, our native people overpopulate in average to the non-natives.
You don't have prisons. You mean prisons outside the
Prisons outside the federal prisons of the United States and Canada. And this is because our people are struggling for an identity. Mm-hmm. We too went to school in residential school, and it was there we had our formation in a way of survival in life. We had a good academic formation as well as I guess how to survive in this life. But it was in a residential type where we didn't have enough opportunity to mingle with the non-natives. So when we came out of the residential schools, it was kind of a, you know, more or less inferiority complex would dwell, I guess, within us, trying to be equals. And a lot of our difficulties dwell from early difficulties with the governments, and I think they are the people that we can thank for all the things that went wrong in our lives. From the beginning, the government's establishment of governments, and then the treaties that they made with our people. Many broken treaties and many promises that weren't lived up to. So it gave the Indian person very little to go on with.
I just wanted to touch a little bit on how now we've been reading a lot in the news about your system of your own choosing of leaders, electing leaders, choosing leaders. In some tribes, leaders are chosen by the clan mothers. Mm-hmm. Some tribes, they have elections. Would you like? Now in Kanawaki, though, you have elections.
Yes, here in Kanawaki we have election. We have elected system. I don't know, it goes back way before my time here on the reservation, and it seems to have worked very well in the past.
But it was something that the natives chose, or was it again imposed from the outside?
My understanding is this came from the federal government, because all forms of native governments, native ways of governing each other was always coming from the people, and especially by the elders. And also in the native culture, we have a deep respect for Mother Earth, so also we have a deep respect for our women. They are sacred to us because they carry life.
Okay, that's something that I wanted to ask originally. We just said that when you got married, you came to Kanawaki because that's where Sheila was from. And your names, do they come through the father or do they come through the mother, or are your children considered part of the Mohawk tribe or part of the Ojibwe tribe? How does it work when people from a different tribe, people from different tribes get married?
Like I said, with the women, they carried a clan, they carried a strength, and at one time they were the people who selected the chiefs. So all the clans are chosen through the woman. So the fact that I am an Ojibwe, married to an Ojibwe with a clan of the Thunderbird, marrying to a Mohawk of a Bear clan, my children automatically become Mohawks of the Bear clan. It's very interesting.
That's interesting. About spirituality, you were saying earlier that a lot of the problems, a lot of the misunderstandings come because people don't know. Explain something, in terms of the spirituality, what would you like us to know?
Well, there are several things we'd like to share. First of all, just the word spirituality is something we see is from the Spirit, from the Great Spirit. And you know, this, better than 300 years now we've struggled with this. When the missionaries came, the early people, that misunderstood us. And thank God for Vatican II, that this has all changed. Because when the missionary first came, they thought we were running around like a bunch of wild Indians. We were praying to trees, praying to stone, praying to water, praying to grass, all these things. But what they didn't understand, they thought we were praying to several gods. But in our native spirituality, unlike what the Catholic Church was teaching, that God is beyond reach. He's up in the heavens. And the whole structure of the Catholic Church, a pyramidal system, where we have the Pope on high, the bishops, the cardinals, the priests, everyone is on an elevated position. And we the people are all at the bottom. Where in our native spirituality we don't see it as such. We don't see it, and this is what the missionary had trouble with. What they didn't understand is when we prayed before trees, we prayed. Yes, we did pray. We prayed before stone. We prayed before several things that we saw as symbols. In the Catholic Church, there are many things. They have statues, icons. They help direct us to God. Likewise, we have symbols that direct us to the Creator, which is the same God. And we don't see God as unapproachable. We see Him here on earth. And unlike the pyramidal structure of the church, we have what's called a sacred circle. God is here with us. And what we pray to as models, as symbols, is God breathed life into them. The trees are alive. The very Mother Earth that we depend on for our livelihood is alive. And it was created by God, so it is good. And that is what we've seen. Not there are several gods, but one God, but His Spirit within each and everything that He's created. And this is how we look at our symbols. What I'm holding here is a sweetgrass. And this is, we consider as the hair of Mother Earth. And it's braided like we braid our mother's hair in 3 parts. And this becomes a symbol. Alone a strand could be broken very easily. But as it's braided, it gives strength like a rope. And it also represents our unity, a unification of our spirit, mind, and body all in one being. And so this is one of the many symbols that we have in our spirituality. There are several others. I'm holding an eagle feather. And this also becomes a symbol. And this also becomes sacramental to us. I don't mean it as a sacrilegious thing. All these things become sacramental because they direct us to the Creator who gave us all these things. This eagle feather was given to me by a brother from Northern Ontario, our first native ordained priest in the Diocese of Sault Ste. Marie. It was given me during a crisis. And it was very difficult to accept, being unworthy, felt being unworthy to receive it. But it also represents our Creator, the Thunderbird, who is closer to our Creator, who delivers the prayers that we have. And we have under it the 6 strands. Red, white, blue, and black, representing the 6 directions. The 4 directions of the yellow, the oriental rays, the red rays, the black rays, and the white rays. The 5th direction representing the sky, Father Sky, from which all our elements derive to nurture Mother Earth, the sun, the snow to blanket her, protect her from the colds of winter, and the sleet and the snow, the sleet and the rains that help nourish Mother Earth. And green strand represents Mother Earth. And this is why, especially today more and more, the environmental people are recognizing our relation to Mother Earth. And that is why we want so much to protect our land. Maybe so we don't own the land, but we belong to the land, just like you belong to the land. And when we belong to the land, we have that obligation to care for her, not to let governments go ahead and destroy it. For what reason? We don't know. Is it for more economy? Is it for more land base? I don't want to go into the politics. But when we see Quebec under 80% of land claim, I am going into politics. It does well for Confederation. But we see it as our only means to sustain life here on Earth. And unless we take that step to share with you and let you know what we are about and what the land means to us, we will soon be unable to survive. Because what we nurture Mother Earth with, pollution, it is what we will reap, our own doom. You know?
Share a little bit, if you want. What were your personal experiences, your personal feelings of all of that last summer?
Well, our personal feelings about last summer are several. First of all, when I accepted to be ordained in the Diocese of Saint Jean-Longueuil, I did so thinking that I'd be serving the community of Ganawaki solely, only. But since the crisis, it has taken me beyond these borders. And it's very difficult, it's very challenging, and it's very scary. It's very difficult in ministry when you're invited to go out and to share about your spirituality. As a human, I guess it's the only normal, natural, fearing maybe a ridicule or being criticized. But you know, the strange thing about it is, while we share and while we witness about what we really are about, people are understanding. And you know, the good thing about it all is people have a better understanding in a sense that throughout the world this problem exists. Not recognizing or respecting another person's tribe, respecting another person's culture or a way of life. And you know, this all comes about through ignorance. When we don't know something, we fear it. But I found after being invited to these communities outside of the reservation, we are all the same people. You know, we all bleed. We're all the same. We speak mostly the same language. And yet we all want the same thing, to live in harmony with one another and to live in harmony with each other, with Mother Earth. And this is the difficulty throughout the world, not understanding. And once we do understand another person's culture, their way of life, it is good. And it gives another added dimension to our life, something we can appreciate. It's very difficult with politics. And I guess this is why as natives we try in some way to be the mediator and bring that message of peace to our culture, to our spirituality. Peace to the four directions, peace to all people. And that is okay. So this is why we say it's okay to be Indian and it's okay to be Christian. And that's the message we're trying to give to the outside. It's okay to be French, it's okay to be Christian, or it's okay to be black, and it's okay to be Christian. But once a person does lose his culture, then thus you also lose your identity. And it is only in searching and reaching back into our culture that we do draw the strength. Draw the strength to continue on today and say, yes, it is good. It is good to be an Indian. It's good to be Native. It's good to be Obohoe. And it's good to be a Christian. Who are non-Catholic. And this was what from the it is from the influence of the Anglican Church that arrived in Southern Ontario and the Methodists.
But what's interesting, Ron, is in the paper they point out the fact that all the Indians are English. But why don't they point out that the Indians are Catholic? Because then it goes on to the French side. You understand what I mean?
Yes. Okay. Well, it's interesting what you said. The thing is, first of all, the many wars that happened with the non-natives in North America.
I'm talking about now, though. Now, right at this controversy that's going on now.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't mean English, you mean English speaking.
Well, in the French papers, they talked about these are the English, because they speak English over there, and they don't apparently like that. Now, why don't they make it a point to say the Indians are Catholic? Because the French are all Catholic, and this gives you a halfway point to go to. I mean, it's as if you're talking to a bunch of English Protestants over here saying they're not happy, they're the minority, they want to speak English, we don't speak English. Why don't the Indians say, don't you know we're Catholic? It puts them on the French side. They're trying to put you on the other side.
That's right.
There must be some things to put you on their side, so they can't, the game they play, sort of.
Well, it's more convenient to them, I guess, to the French media to exclude us as being Catholic, because they want to keep. It'll kind of cover really what is being hidden in the media, and that is the fact that we never took sides in the war, and so when it did happen, the natives took the side of the English, the British, and they won't let us forget that. And that is the big thing what happened last summer with the feather, with Elijah Harper in Ottawa, when he stood up. It was the same thing taking the wind out of the sails, more so to speak, about Meech Lake and also Bourassa's dream of independence. So they label us. This goes back. It's a little deeper than what they're saying. That we were never really forgiven from the early war, Saint Abraham, so to speak. And we know it, we're aware of it. And that is why we're constantly reminded of it. And when the English media picks it up, yes, it's true, we are all Catholic. Majority of us are Catholic, are influenced from the French missionaries. But you would not think so, that we're the same God. I don't know. Very difficult. It's very difficult with politics. And I guess this is why as natives we try in some way to be the mediator and bring that message of peace to our culture, to our spirituality. Peace to the four directions, peace to all people. And that is okay. So this is why we say it's okay to be Indian, and it's okay to be Christian. And that's the message we're trying to give to the outside. It's okay to be French. It's okay to be Christian. Or it's okay to be black. And it's okay to be Christian. I think what the world needs now is looking back, looking at a way to reconcile with Mother Earth and reconcile with one another. And we like to share our ways of reconciliation, and one of them is with our sweat lodge, where we return to. It would be difficult to explain a sweat lodge, maybe for many people that have been in big tannies or things like it, in a sauna. It's similar to it. The sweat lodge we know, and where we go for purification after the fasting, it's like returning to the womb of Mother Earth. And this is what the sweat lodge represents to us. As our youth, our native youth, our need of reconciliation, their need of vision, their need of direction, they too are encouraged to participate in the sweat lodge. Our elders dream dreams, and our youth are seeking vision. In days of old, our youth went on vision quests into the wilderness for days, without food or water. And you know, your scripture tells you the same thing, that when we are weak, it is when we are strong. And as the native youth are weak, and even our native elders are weak, it is then we're open to the Spirit of the Creator. And it is then we're able to see the vision of where the path of life is leading us. I guess it's similar as when I followed into the ministry. I found my strength in that by relating and referring to, drawing my strength from spirituality that the Creator has given us. And it was there I found my strength to pursue the vision, to become a deeper. And it is from there many of our people have found their way home from the desert, found their way home from drugs, found their way from alcoholism. Found their way home from many of the difficulties that they're experiencing. An identity. Many of us wanted to be, we call ourselves Jews, we call ourselves Spanish, we call ourselves many things, but not an Indian, because that was a dirty word. It was a bad word. Especially with a history book portraying us as heathens, as murderers of the Jesuits, martyrs. and people were lazy, with no direction. But once a person does lose his culture, then thus you also lose your identity. And it was only in searching and reaching back into our culture that we lose brought us strength. Brought us strength to continue on today and say, yes, it is good. It is good being Indian. It's good to be native. It's good to be Ongolese. And it's good to be a Christian.